Welcome to our scheduled reports demonstration movie. By the end of this video, you should be able to create and manage your own scheduled reports. We're going to start out by logging in. I'm logging in as our test user. You should be logging in as the user which you normally log into the live site with. From the home page, you'll notice that there's this new option, scheduled reports. If we click on that, we see at the moment an empty page. As we add scheduled and background reports, you'll see this page start to fill up. So now we'll go through and we'll add a dispatch report, scheduled report. So click on the dispatch report menu option. What you'll see is a new part to the dispatch report page, which is this section down here. This section will appear on every report page that can be scheduled or backgrounded. When adding a scheduled report, you need to fill in all of the fields in the scheduled report section, and any fields in the above the scheduled report section are optional. The dispatch date, when you're adding a scheduled report, these fields don't apply because the reporting start and reporting end will replace those. You can create a scheduled report by selecting a carrier and the pickup address, and those will be encoded into the scheduled report and will determine the kind of report that you receive on a regular basis. If we just go through these fields now, and I'll just explain these. The email address, this is an email address to which the scheduled report will be emailed on the date that you specify. This checkbox here can be selected if you want the system to remember the email address that you enter. So if your report's always going to the same person, then tick the checkbox and it'll be remembered for next time. The report description or name, this field is really there just so that when you see your scheduled report listed against other scheduled reports, it reminds you of what it is. So we suggest that the name that you give this is something that properly just describes your scheduled report. The reporting cycle, you can add 3 types of scheduled reports: daily, weekly and monthly reports. The reporting start date and the reporting end date, these dates determine the time from which you start receiving scheduled reports and the time that you end it. Depending on the type of scheduled report that you've selected will determine how many reports you receive between these 2 dates. For example, adding a daily report will mean that for every day between these 2 dates you receive a report. A weekly report means that each week between these 2 dates you'll receive a report, and a monthly report you'll receive 1 report per month between these 2 dates. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new daily scheduled report. I'll call this report my daily test. With any daily report, you have the option to include Saturdays and Sundays, and I'll select yes. By default, the start and end date will be from today to 3 months from now. So I'm going to add a scheduled PDF dispatch report. After adding the report, you'll see this new section below appear, and this section will list our active scheduled reports. We can preview the information encoded against our scheduled report by clicking on the plus to expand the information on that report. So the information that we see against our report is the name that I gave it, the type of report, the date for when I am next expected to receive a report, the from and the to date for that actual report, and the email address to which the report will be delivered. Under the report criteria, we can see the type of information that is used to filter the data that appears in the report. We can see that I selected a pickup address, I selected a carrier, I've included weekends, and I'm going to print dangerous goods. You can also see that the format is PDF. The format is also denoted by the icon here. This icon's a PDF icon. When I add a CSV report in a second, you'll see a different type of icon. And we can see the reporting start and the reporting end. What we can see here by the time is that I'll next receive a report on the 9th, and the time will be from the start of the 8th until the end of the 8th. Scrolling down the page, we can see that this is a list of all the reports that were expected to be emailed. As reports are processed, this download column will start to get filled in. When reports are completed and can be downloaded, you'll see a download link appear in this column. There are two ways for which you can receive your report. You will be sent an email with a hyperlink that from that hyperlink you'll be required to log in and then download the report. But you'll also, if you lose that email for whatever reason, you can always come back to the site and click on the download link that will be in this column here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a monthly dispatch report. With the monthly dispatch report, we're required to select the start and end date, the same as with the daily report, but we're also asked to specify the day of the month on which we want to receive the report. So I'm going to ask that on the 1st of each month I receive my report, and this report will be a CSV report. And my carrier, I'm going to select all carriers. Scrolling down the page, we can see that my monthly report is now shown. We can see here that from the report criteria that there's much less information shown, and this is because this is a more open report in that I've selected less criteria with which to restrict the data. We can see here that there's only 4 reports expected to be sent out rather than the many for the daily report. So what I've selected here is I've selected a 3-month period, but you'll notice that there's 4 reports. This is because the reports they start from the start of each month until the end. So because my start and end dates are selected as the 8th, which is partway through a month, the reports then add a 4th report so that all data between those 2 dates I selected is included. Now for my last scheduled report test, I'm going to add a weekly report. And this time I'm just going to select a carrier. With any weekly scheduled report, we're required to select for what kind of week we want the report to run. So we can pick any 7-day period that starts at any time of the week, or we can pick the Monday to Friday 5-day period. So I'm going to select a Tuesday to a Monday, and then we're also asked to select the day of the week for which we want to receive the report. So I'm going to say that I want a report from every Tuesday to a Monday, and I want to receive the report on the following Tuesday. And I'll make this a PDF scheduled report. Scrolling down the page, I'm going to expand my weekly report test information, And as previous reports, we can see here that my carrier is, I had selected a carrier, and these are all the reports that I'm expected to receive. I can see the date which I'll receive the report, and the from and the to date for that individual report. From the dates here, we can see that this is a 7-day period, and I'll receive it on just after the date for when the report's due to be completed. The next thing I'm going to demonstrate is a report that is backgrounded based on date information. So navigate back to the home page, and we'll start from here. Navigate to the My Reports page. I'm going to run one of my configured My Custom Reports. As you can see, as with other reports, you can also schedule a custom report. But in this case, I'm going to run a regular report for a time that's greater than 28 days old. So before I do this, I'll just explain that there are two ways in which a report will be sent to the background, and that is either based on date or based on the number of results. In this case, I'm selecting a date that's far enough in the past that's more than 28 days, so when I ask to run this report, it'll send it to the background. And I'm going to ask to process the report. Going through to the Scheduled Reports page, we can see that this is my CSV test. This is the report I just ran that's running in the background. A report that's sent to the background based on date is treated as if it's a once-off scheduled report, and it'll run as soon as possible. We can see the process date here indicates that's going to run as soon as possible, and these are the dates that I selected. As this backgrounded report is processed, it'll move from the active reports down to the inactive reports section. We highlight in red scheduled reports that are there because they were forced into the background based on date or on number of results. Now just want to check whether my scheduled report is completed. So as we can see here, my report has moved from the active reports to the inactive reports. What will happen is that as your active reports reach the end of their life cycle, they'll move from the active section to the inactive section. We keep inactive reports around for you so that you can come in and you can download reports that were run in the past. So this report should have gone to my email, but because I'm not checking my email at the moment, I'm just going to click on the download link to get my report. And we can see here, this is my report. It hasn't got a great deal of data because this is just a test user, but we can see that the report did download. Any one of these active reports we can delete or disable. Disabling means that any further reports won't run. Deleting a report will physically remove it from the database, and any reports that were run in the past you won't be able to download anymore. If I disable my daily test, we can see that this report has now moved to the inactive reports section, and if there were any download links here, I could still download them. This about concludes our movie demonstration of scheduled reports. Just to recap, what we've shown here is how to add a daily, a weekly and a monthly scheduled report. We've also shown what happens when a report is backgrounded based on date range, and we've also shown you how to manage your reports by deleting or disabling.